The GEEK Files, 2026, April 24th. I'm in Burnaby still. Transprovincial Airlines out of Terrace, fall of 88, summer of 92. So Transprovincial got a contract to move fuel into a mining camp up north of Stewart. How this was going to work was at the end of the road at Stewart, there was going to be a big fuel tank. So a truck would run diesel fuel up to the fuel tank. Then Transprovincial would take its otter with a bladder in it, fill the bladder from the fuel tank, fly up to the Nipple Glacier where there was a big Terra tank, empty it into the Terra tank. Fuel would then get pumped out of the Terra tank into 45-gallon drums, and then a helicopter would fly it into this drill camp. A gold, man. Yeah, at that time there was, the federal government had flow-through shares. So whatever expenses a mining company had, one of these little exploratory companies that would, those expenses could flow into the shareholders and they could deduct it from their taxes. So the otter was going, I don't know where they got the otter from, because I don't think there was an otter in the fleet, especially not one on floats, because all of the beaver, otter, goose were out of Prince Rupert, and we didn't have anything like that in Terrace. So because they were going to land the otter on the road by this fuel tank at the end of the road, and then land on top of a glacier, they installed wheel skis on the otter, which is really typical. I mean, I started in aviation with Central Air on aircraft on wheel skis. And the wheel skis operate by, you hydraulically pump them up, but they have a nitrogen charge behind that and a spring that forces them down so you can land on the skis. So they installed the wheel skis. I don't remember where they even installed the wheel skis, because I don't think I was around for that. But what they didn't do, and this is really, really typical of Transprovincial, after they installed them, they didn't test them. And so the very, very first landing full of fuel that the otter did on the Nipple Glacier, there was no nitrogen charge to keep the skis down. So when they landed like the springs would just push, like they're not heavy springs. There's something for the hydraulics to work against. So the springs pushed them down and gravity helped. And when they landed, they just came up and you're on wheels and you can't take off a soft, sunny, sloppy summer snow glacier. This was in the summer when all the snow is summer and soft and fluffy. You're just stuck there. A bit of egg on their face. So the plan was they were going to fly me up to Stewart with a bottle of nitrogen and the nitrogen gauges and all the stuff to fix it. And then I was to fly by helicopter, because the helicopter pilot who was ferrying the 45-gallon drums full of fuel into the camp stayed in Stewart. So they were going to fly me up there on the first flight with all this rigging. And then I would charge the wheel skis so I could get the aircraft off and make sure that it got off. Because like spending a night, even in the summer, spending a night on a glacier is hard. It's cold up there. And so my first question when we had the head of maintenance in Terrace was a guy, a New Zealander named Jerry. and he served in the New Zealand Air Force, and he was a Bristol freighter expert. That's why they hired him. But he was a pain in the ass, and he would lie straight through his teeth. He'd just make stuff up. So I looked at him because, I know the area. I've been flying around this area a long time. I knew it was summer in Stewart. So I looked at him and said, "Is there a hotel room for me?" And he looked at me straight in the face. "Oh yeah, all arranged. Just go up there." So I get up there, and boy, I wasn't a pilot. And I got into the hotel and said, "Okay, I'm here, blah, 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 blah." And he said, "We don't have a reservation. We don't have rooms, let alone a reservation for you." And so maybe they sent up two pilots. I don't remember, but it wasn't the pilot flying the Otter, but the other guy that was there. We just looked at each other and went, "Well, Whiskey Tango Foxtrot, what the hell am I supposed to do now? Where am I supposed to sleep?" Because there was only one hotel at that time in Stewart. So, he said, "Well, we'll just share a room then. We'll just." So they did. They pulled in. I don't even think they had any spare beds. I think we just threw some blankets on the floor, and I slept on the floor that night. Not happy. On the other hand, the Alaska border is like, and Stewart is like just there, and just over the Alaska border is Hyder. And one of the famous things you do in Hyder is you get Hyderized. So there's this jug of alcohol with a supposed human toe in it, and it's like pure grain alcohol. And you take a shot of this alcohol from the jug. They flip the shot glass over, pull it up, and light the alcohol on fire to prove that, it's like over, I think 60 proof is the minimum proof. You need maybe 120 proof, because 60%, 120 proof is the minimum you need to light alcohol on fire. So, and I got my sourdough. I got Hyderized and got my sourdough certificate and all that sort of stuff. Maybe the sourdough was out of a Yukon. I think Whitehorse had the same thing, but it's a really typical tourist thing to do. We had a good time. And in the morning, I got in the helicopter and flew up and charged the skis. I guess the pilot had to come with me. So the helicopter pilot started ferrying drums of fuel up to the drill camp. I charged the skis. We got the Otter started and warmed up. And I went to get in it, and the pilot said, "Where are you going?" I said, "Well, I'm done. I want to go back." He says, "There's no one there." I said, "Well, I'll catch a ride back in the fuel truck." And he says, "No. They've been topping up the fuel, the storage tank. There's no one going to be there. So do you want to wait there, or do you want to wait up here?" It's just so he basically told me I couldn't come back with all the gear until the end of the day. So I'm going to spend a whole day on company flight, more than a whole day, because these guys, we flew sun up, sun down, man. We just flew our butts off. If the sun was up, we were flying. It was a sunny day. So I spent more than a day sitting on my butt on the Nipple Glacier, helping these guys, helping the pilot and the Otter unfuel, and helping the helicopter pilot fuel up and load up barrels. A helicopter pilot was a nice guy. He just looked at it and went, he got the idea that Transprovincial was a Charlie Foxtrot pretty quick. So he was nice to me. And when it was lunchtime, he said, "Come on, I'll take you for lunch up to the camp." So I went up to the camp, and he and I had a great lunch. Yeah, camps run on their belly, man. You can't have a bad cook in a camp, or the camp just revolts. Yeah. And then at the end of the day, packed up through the, because they were flying back into the air. Anyway, I packed up all the nitrogen bottle and the gauges and my tools and flew back to the airport. And then I got a ride home. And at that point, they had already sent up, they already knew that I was fixed, and they sent up the Max and the Navajo. Or maybe Kenny. Maybe it was Uncle Kenny that brought me back. And I flew back to Terrace. So, yeah. Yeah, so when you install something, test it. Make sure that it actually works like you think it does. And this sort of attitude would haunted Transprovincial all the time, like constantly. But I got a good story out of it. So make inappropriate life decisions. You don't make any money. But you get good stories, and sometimes you get to spend a sunny day on the top of a glacier kicking back.